So here we have the Xiaomi Mi Mix 2S. It's their revised model with a faster chipset in here. So they've upgraded it from the Snapdragon 835 to the 845, a very fast chip, the latest and greatest from Qualcomm. And what they've also changed is the camera on it. So the cameras on the Mi Mix 2 were quite disappointing. It had focus hunting issues and very poor low light performance. It wasn't really that great. It was an improvement over the Mi Mix, the first model, but here we have now the dual camera arrangement. So one of those cameras is a 2x optical zoom one, so you can get in a little bit closer to your subjects. It also helps out with the blurred background effect with bokeh. And then we have optical image stabilized camera sensor, the main one, with dual pixel face detection autofocus. Now, we've got a ugly camera bump, as you can see here, so it's not that great looking if you ask me, and it's definitely copying the way the cameras are on the latest iPhones, how they've set them up with the dual cameras there. And you'll notice that the design, it's pretty much exactly the same, unless you break out a ruler there and you check the dimensions of it. There's a slight difference there, but really good build on this. We've got ceramic on the back of it, and it's more scratch resistant than any other glass coatings that you'll find. It's a little bit slippery, but you also do get a very good case in the box. Now this case is perfect fit for it, of course coming from the manufacturer. It feels nice in hand and just adds a little bit of grippiness to it. But nice curved edges, very good in hand, and I do like the fact that they've got the slim bezels on the front. This to me is how slim bezels should still be done. None of that stupid business with the notch that everyone seems to be copying Apple. I'm personally against that. I don't like it, but it's something we're going to see a lot of in 2018, sadly. Now, before we go on with the review, there's a couple of deal breakers here for most people with this phone, and that is no 3.5mm headphone jack, no micro SD card slot. So if you can live without those two things, let's move on with the rest of the review here. So the screen is 2160 by 1080, so that's a 2:1 aspect ratio. Good colors, deep blacks. There is a tiny little bit of shadowing around the edge, so there's some shadows that come in, but it's very, very minor, and this is me being quite picky with the unit. Otherwise, for an IPS display, it's quite good. Maximum brightness is 500 lux, which is good. Sunlight legibility is average. It's definitely not the best. I find that the Samsung AMOLED panels tend to hold up a lot better in sunlight, and some of the Apple phones as well. Not quite as good as those optical AMOLED panels for sunlight legibility there, but overall, great screen. And you'll notice too that down the bottom has just got the one loudspeaker. So they haven't added a secondary speaker on the sides, but it's just like the Mi Mix 2S that the earpiece also incorporates a loudspeaker there. And I'll give you a very quick sample of that speaker right now. So you can hear from that it's not amazing. The loudness is okay, but it just lacks to me quality. This is one of my minor complaints. So audio output, while we're talking about audio, you're going to have to use the adapter, of course, because there is no 3.5mm headphone jack, but the quality's not too bad that comes out of it. I found it's loud, it's clean, it's clear, which is good. That's one good positive. But of course, you can't charge at the same time using that adapter. You're going to have to swap over to using a Bluetooth headset. Now you also notice too at the top there's no IR transmitter. We've got a secondary microphone, and you can see those antenna lines there. So yes, the design exactly the same apart from the camera modules as the Mi Mix 2S. This is not a bad thing, really good quality. Now the operating system, it's running Android 8.0. I was really hoping for Android 8.1, but hopefully that's going to be coming soon in an update. MIUI 9.5, so 9.5 adds a few new features on there. One of the most important ones would probably be the full screen gestures. So you can just use gestures. So if you swipe up to the middle and hold, then you go into your recent apps. And if you just swipe straight up, it goes back to home. And if you swipe from the left, that takes you back. Once you get used to it, it's actually quite good to use this. And I find it to be a little bit better. But it's a shame we don't have any capacitive touch buttons down in that, well, kind of large bottom bezel. So when we also look at the operating system's performance, it's really, really good. This is fast phone. Snapdragon 845 is just blazing fast, and I have not noticed any lag, stutters, nothing like that, no bugs in the operating system. This is really good. So here's a few scores here. Here's the Antutu score. You can see really quite fast. I mean, this is one of the best you'll see for an Android device, if not right up there. It's got to be in the top 5 at least. And okay, that's a synthetic benchmark, but real world performance, the internal storage as well is very fast, UFS 2.1 spec. Good wireless speeds as well. You can get close to 600 megabits per second out of this with its 2x2 antenna setup. And GPS performance, I wanted to point this one out because it is really good. In fact, the best I have seen probably on a recent mobile phone that I've reviewed. 4G speeds I noticed to be decent, no complaints with that at all. Good signal, good call quality. Well, the call quality, actually I have a few little complaints about this. Like the video quality, as you'll see later on, the microphones to me sound a little bit muffled, as if a little bit washed out. Hopefully Xiaomi's going to be able to fix this. That's one area of complaint I do have with this mobile, is that the call quality isn't really up to flagship standard. Now when we look at other things like gaming performance, it's going to play all the latest titles out there. So I tested out PUBG, World of Tanks, and Shadow Fighter 3, and it's all super smooth. Everything's running at maximum speeds here. We're looking at 60 frames per second, aided by the fact that the screen is basically almost a 1080p screen, so it's got plenty of power to drive that kind of resolution. So the Mi Mix 2S does have fingerprint unlocking just like the Mi Mix and the Mi Mix 2, and it's really quick. This is under a second. It just unlocks really, really super fast. You can see no problems with this. Now it also has face unlocking. The face unlocking is not as secure. It tends to work most of the time, I'd say about 8 out of 10 times. Moving on now to battery life, this actually came out a lot better than I thought. I was expecting maybe about 7 to 8 hours, but it's actually close to 9 hours with my own battery test here. So what I did was set the brightness to 200 nits and continue just to use it. That was mostly gaming most of the time, and I did use a bit of Chrome, YouTube, things like that. I kept it connected up to wireless on the whole time. I used a little bit of data, perhaps only about 20% of the test, so keep that in mind there. So continual use, almost 9 hours. This is really good from a really high performance chip like this one here. Now charge times, it's 1 hour and 39 minutes to charge it from zero with the supplied cable and charger. So that's really good, that's very fast. Oh, and almost forgot, so it does have wireless charging. This is the first time that Xiaomi has used it. And if you're going to be using a 7.5 watt wireless charger, you're looking at almost 3 hours to completely charge the phone. So that's about double the time of using the cable. So then when it comes to the camera performance, so we've got a couple of new features here with the camera. Well, one of them is the camera AI. And this really is a bit of a gimmick to me. All it seems to do is just bolster up the contrast, the brightness in a lot of shots. So here you can see I've got it detecting my cat here, Vera, and it's put a little cat icon, so it knows it's a cat, so that's clever. But look at the difference between these two shots. This is with the AI on. It just kind of doesn't really do that much. It tweaks it a little bit, and with flowers, it's going to oversaturate massively and just bolster up the brightness. The front-facing camera as well is not really that great. It oversaturates a lot. We get poor dynamic range, and you often lose a lot of details in the background. Now, it will support portrait mode, this front-facing camera as well. Here's a shot here of the rear camera's portrait mode, and you can see it looks good, but when you get in close, you can see around the hair, areas like that around the face, that it's not going to stitch it together too well. This is all too common. Now, a couple of other photo samples. So it takes a really good photo, and the low light performance as well too. Really quite good. This is probably one of the best I have seen from a mobile phone from Xiaomi. This is good to see. However, the camera's not all 100% brilliant. When we move over to video now, it does have a electronic image stabilization option. It is enabled, but clearly it's not actually working in 4K. It works in 1080p. Now the video quality, it's pretty good, not bad. One thing that is lacking in one area is the audio quality. To me, it's just not as good as it should be. Neither is the stability. It's not as good as even the Redmi Note 5. Now that's Xiaomi's budget phone, but at least the focus is really quite good. So no more focus hunting issues that plagued the Mi Mix 2. So overall, this is a really great phone. I really do love it. Top performance, great build quality. You've got the ceramics on it. They have improved the camera, but if you own a Mi Mix 2, I wouldn't be upgrading to this unless, of course, you must have wireless charging and you really want to have a much better camera while keeping that original Mi Mix 2 design. I do really like this phone. There's just those areas of concern. So the call quality is not really that good. It sounds a little bit muffled, the microphones on this for the other end. And then the audio quality in video, and then the stability in video and colors in video. Now these are all things they can fix with software. So hopefully Xiaomi's going to come out with an update, correct all of that, and this will be an absolutely brilliant phone for the around 500, 550 US that this is selling for. Thanks a lot for watching this quicker review here from me. I hope you liked it. And if you haven't checked out my review of the more budget-orientated Redmi Note 5, please check that out up here and my latest videos. Hope to catch you soon back in the channel. Please like this video if you liked it and subscribe as well.